What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more hard trance. And indeed, I didn't say acid trance, even though we're going to listen to a tune by Pablo Gargano, as Luca is ridiculously floppy and sleepy. But yeah, we're going to listen to a tune, as I said, by Pablo. This is actually a remix by Pablo, meaning it's not an original tune. It's by Bismark. And I'm trying to remember, I'll look it up right now. I think it was originally multiple people, but then I think over time it's another one of those like acts that became a solo act. Let's see. No, right here it just says a solo the whole time. So I guess it's just one guy, and it has always been. But yeah, Bismark is Marco Bassegna, Italian DJ and producer, founder of Mystica Records. So yeah, I think this is the only tune I have by him. But yeah, the original is on BXR. There's like a couple different versions, but this is a Telica release. But I think it's interesting because if you look at the fine print, it says that the Pablo Gargano remix was, written and produced by Pablo Gargano for Eve Records, which, again, obviously one is the sort of parent label, the other is the offshoot that came later, Telica. But it sounds like he maybe originally did the remix for Eve, and then for whatever reason it was put on the sort of offshoot or sub-label Telica. So I thought that was interesting when I noticed that. I also think it's interesting that this is one of the very few Pablo Gargano tunes from the mid to late 90s. I think this is 98. I think this is getting a little bit later in the 90s. Let me see. Yeah, 1998? Or is it 1996? Give me one moment. I think it might be 96 actually. So forget what I just said. It's 97. Okay, so we'll split the difference. Yeah, this is 97 in the summer of 97. Well, I guess it depends on what hemisphere you're in. But yeah, in the northern hemisphere, it was in the summer. And yeah, like I said, there's a whole bunch on BXR, like multiple different versions with some different mixes. I was in two minds whether I should do the clubby mix of this, which I think is just a remix by Bismark and maybe one or two other people. But because that one is super like euphoric acid, it's like uplifting and sort of bright acid. It's a really cool tune. But the Pablo mix is driving hard trance and almost like a tribal kind of feel in terms of it's sort of stripped down and it's very percussive, like certainly for his type of track, meaning this doesn't have those like floating, evolving, progressive melodies that he has in a lot of his tunes. It's more austere, it's more driven. Well, not that his other tunes aren't driven, but that's mainly what it's doing. Again, it's not like floating off into the sky with a beautiful melody. It doesn't have a notable acid section. There may be a 303 along the way, but to be clear, this is not what you would normally think of when you think of a Pablo Gargano tune from 97, where there would definitely be acid, probably a section where it like really takes off and sort of, goes high into the chirping range. That is not the case here, but it is a really cool tune, and I bought it for his remix. And then I heard the other two versions. There's also a Silver Moon mix, which is very cool. It's slower and like more melodic. It's a real sort of like kind of hands in the air sort of euphoric trance tune, but in a different way than the much more acidic clubby mix. Long story short, we're not going to listen to either of those. We're going to listen to Pablo's mix, but as I said, it's just a very sort of stripped down kind of tribal hard trance feel, especially for one of his tunes from 97. So here we go. This is Telica, and it's Telica number 2. The original is by Bismarck. The track is called My World, and this is the Pablo Gargano remix, which I assume will be on 45, but if we need to adjust, we will do that. I gotta figure that. Hold on. Yep. We're on 33. That's an affirmative. I think Luca's probably just out of frame, but like, she's in that state where her eyes are like, they're sort of open, but she's clearly drifting.
The mind is a labyrinth. While the parts of the brain are plainly visible, its ways deceptively apparent, its destinations are unknown. Its secrets still secrets. And, if we are honest, it is the lure of the labyrinth that draws us to our chosen field to unlock those secrets. Others have been here before us and have left us signs, but we, as explorers of the mind, must devote our lives and energies to going further, to tread the unexplored corridors in the hope of finding ultimately the
ominous.
We have to see.
We have to know.
We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see.
This is little tone.
We have to see. We have to know.
Really subtle.
We have to know. We have to see. We have
I like the hats.
we have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to
Ride symbol over the top.
We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see. We have to know. We have to see.
Bigger hat.
We have to know. We have to see. 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 We have to know.
You're like, but where's the bass line? That little chirp. Rattling sound. That's the melody from the original, but Pablo, he doesn't give you the full thing, he gives you like sets the mood more than it takes over the track. At some point I'm going to react to the other versions and you'll see how different this is. When I first heard this, I was surprised because it wasn't overflowing with acid and melody like a lot of his tunes. But I almost liked it more because of that. It was like, oh, this is like a different side of Pablo's work. Again, his tunes on Eve will always be my favorite, but I really like this because it's sort of a tribal hard trance tune. That main riff there is technically a 303. But it's not chirping and singing and intensifying and modulating the way it normally does. I do like those atmospheric but a little ominous string touches. There are a few pops here along the way, more than I remember this record having. like an engine. And again, it's another thing where, like a lot of Pablo build-ups, it's a little idiosyncratic, but when it drops, it sounds more stripped down than you would think. You'd expect it to maybe like finally fully flower into like all the different elements. It doesn't do that, but it does something cool. And it's vintage, eccentric production by Pablo within a rhythmic structure. Back in it, and it's like so many producers just don't do things like that. It's like it's a 32, it's a 64, and there's nothing wrong with more standard tunes. But again, Pablo, he's one of those producers that did his own thing. Nostrum, there's some others, but he strips everything out, then brings back some of the percussion. Little stripped down interlude, and then we'll bring the bass line back. Another one I'd say, I've talked about this before, it's what I call like a good filler, meaning it's a filler in the sense that it's not a marquee tune. It's not going to stand out and people aren't going to like remember it. Oh, remember that one with the big breakdown? It's not that kind of track, but it maintains the atmosphere and energy of your set, and you can use it to kind of separate two tunes that demand a little bit more attention. What he said. Like I said, I enjoyed this tune precisely because it's a little bit different from Pablo. You know, part of me wishes there was a little bit more acid. Again, I think that main low intensity riff is technically done by a 303. I could be wrong there, but either way, it's definitely not overflowing with acid. There aren't fireworks into the sky. There's not the chirping birds or the acid crickets. It's not on that level, but I think it's a really well composed tune. It has a like very clear, again, driven and sort of austere vibe. It's got those tribal drums rolling along. So I've always enjoyed that track. And again, maybe 5% more than I would just independent of anything else, knowing that it is a little bit different than a lot of his other work. So yeah, let me know what you think of the tune. As I said, I'll come back and react to the clubby mix and the Silver Moon mix at some point too. The clubby one is a really great acid trance tune. The Silver Moon mix is like, you know, I think there's maybe an acid touch here or there, but it's mostly like a melodic sort of progressive trance tune. So we'll come back for those, but do let me know what you think of this. I'll see you next time. Peace.